Our next guest is Chuck Poteet. Chuck is the broker owner of PRG Realtors. Welcome to Real Estate Matters.
Hey, thank you very much. Glad to be here. Real estate's amazing. Started off back in 1984, and it's seen a lot of things happen in real estate since then. And I think my first house I closed, and actually our personal home was with Stewart Title. So we got to give a little plug in here for you guys right now. So,
Absolutely. We appreciate that. We appreciate that. So what was the catalyst about, I know that you, like you said, started in 1984. You've had a variety of stops along the way, but what was the catalyst about starting PRG?
Okay, I had the opportunity this year to transition from a national franchise to and the opportunity to start PRG, and so that gave me a chance to actually step back from my career, having had another independent brokerage, and having been with other franchises over the years and some other independents, to go, what is it realtors really need today? What do agents really need? And so this was an opportunity that on the beginning kind of looked like, oh, this is going to be a lot of work, but then it became a passion. And so then we started working on, as far as a brand, we go, hey, we're not just going to be just another brokerage. We're going to be a brand that agents are going to be proud of, that they're going to be able to see themselves working there. They're going to be able to have a brokerage that will meet their needs. And so that was how we came up with Professional Realty Guides. And so there's a lot of teams and groups and different brokerages out there, but we felt like that by giving them the title at the beginning to set the bar a little higher at the front end as a professional realty guide, and then calling them pro guides, that we were actually setting the tone for the brokerage and the agents.
So in that process of creating your brand and developing these professional realty guides, was the thought process that you were moving from a transaction into a real relationship?
Absolutely. You know, right now there are 1.7 million realtors from New York to Hawaii. And there's another million agents, or another million in licensing schools. And so thinking about the mass numbers, even within our own city, agents have a problem. They have a lot of competition, and if they're going to thrive and survive in this industry, they need to keep learning. They need to keep growing themselves. And so we wanted to tailor PRG around helping take them where they needed to go.
So we're visiting with Chuck Poteet, the broker owner of PRG Realtors. So your why when you built this was, I'm asking the question, your why was a place for realtors, now pro guides.
That's right.
To be successful.
That's right.
And what are the things that they need to be successful, and you're going to provide that for them?
So, John, what I call the enemies of an agent's success.
Okay.
There are three things. One, national economy, which we have no control over. Who would have ever come up with COVID? Some
Sure.
of the other things, hurricanes. I date myself. We go back to, stock markets and everything else that can happen in our national economy. The second, really, the industry itself is their second challenge, or their second enemy. And that's because with this 1 million other realtors, that's part of an industry problem. Plus, we've had a lot of iBuyers that are out there that are actually getting to the customers before they ever do. So anybody that's ever sold their home or didn't involve a realtor in that transaction, that took them out of the deal. And so currently, I think we have about 800,000 total homes on the market nationwide. So when we do the math, they got a challenge. The third one is really what I call just sort of the brokerages. In many ways, for some agents, that is not necessarily an enemy, but it's a challenge for them to figure out where they need to be to grow and groom and build their future career. And there's all types of models, and there's wonderful brokerages, but they got to find the right fit for them. And so there's these multiple companies that are out there, and they've got to look for that one that is going to elevate them and take them to that next level, and so they can build their career.
So on the website, on PRG's website, you talk about this idea of elevating the experience and the concierge experience.
Yeah.
Share a little bit about what that in the pro guides world, in your world, what that means.
Okay. So we coined a phrase, everybody deserves a guide. And we're pro guides for buyers, sellers, and agents. So some agents may go, hey, wait a minute, I'm not sure I need a guide. I'm already good, or I'm already great. It's because we also say we help agents go good to great. And the reason is, hey, I've been doing this 38 years, almost 4 decades, and I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I tell everybody I've made thousands of mistakes, and I'll make thousands more. And I'm just trying to help agents, teams, and brokers that are with us not to make those same mistakes. I can streamline some of the process, and they're growing and learning, and that's what we're doing. So we have a lot of systems and processes and things and checklists that help them to be able to not spend months and years going through the same experiences. I've already got it. I've already put it in a package for them that they can learn. We just finished a 5-part series taking agents through what we started off contracts. I started off with contracts? Why? Because that's going to be the glue that's going to get them paid. Mm-hmm. And if they can't put it together and structure it right, because I've had agents come from a lot of different companies, and they still can't even get it on paper correctly. So, it's like, I want to start and make sure you at least know how to do it. And then the next part is, the next session was on marketing, because a lot of agents are still closet agents. They're like, hey, I got this license, but they're not telling anybody. They're not getting out there. They're not marketing themselves. So they really need to get out there and make themselves known, or they're not going to survive. I mean, 87% of realtors fail within the first 5 years. That's what I'm going after to try to help them. I don't want them to be a statistic. I want to help them to advance. The next part was actually learning how to work with sellers. I really have 3 customers. I've got agents, I've got buyers, and I got sellers. I should say our agents had buyers and they got sellers. So we tell sellers our main goal is to help them sell their home for top dollar with the least amount of hassles. So I've got some unique selling processes for sellers to help them get that top dollar and with the least amount of hassles. Then we got buyers. That's our other customer. We want to help them find the perfect home for the right price. That is also resellable. Why do I say resellable? Because for the most part, most people don't realize the day they purchase a home, if they closed it on Friday, they got to sell it on Monday. It's got to appreciate 15% just to break even. So if they're going to break even, then there's got to be some advanced appreciation going on. So we take them through that. So we teach them on the selling process with on how to implement that, how to work with the buyers to help them find the perfect home. A lot of that experience came because I started off mainly doing relocation, and a lot of people, they're just say, hey, Chuck, I'm here for 1 to 2 years and we got to sell. Well, we didn't get to pick what the economy looked like in a year to 2 years later. And so how can we hedge those buyers into a better position? And then my last part of the session, and we'll be starting all these series over again and it's ongoing for us, was leadership. I found that a lot of agents don't see themselves as leaders. They once they've got that license, they're not continuing to grow. And if a leader doesn't grow, their business is not going to grow. Every agent's an independent agent, independent contractor. And I always challenge them to think about their next time they drive by a strip shopping center, see their name on that sign and think of themselves, that's their business. So they've got to have a plan in place for them to grow their business. And if they don't grow first, they're not going to grow their business. So we want to help them grow themselves in every kind of way.
So we've seen, I guess, in the last several years, pivot after pivot after pivot after pivot. I mean, we were pre-pandemic, mm-hmm. and we were doing business one way, and then COVID hit, and we pivoted, and we're doing business a different way, mm-hmm. and then we kind of started to get out of COVID, mm-hmm. and we pivoted a different way. Now we have interest rates that have gone up. Mm-hmm. So you talked about the second 2 levels of your audiences, the buyers and the sellers. So how are your pro guides? How are your pro guides helping buyers and sellers? What are they telling them different now than they may have told them 12 months ago?
Yeah. So starting back at 84, we've come a long ways, and we've already been through these cycles. The worst thing any of them can do is panic. that, and, to me, my first house was 16%. So I'm not worried about where we are in the way of interest rates. We'll make it. We'll be okay. But statistically, and mortgage people would agree, if they do a graph from the 50s all the way to today, I promise you, the same house price was not the same back there. It's always going to be increasing. So if they've got a need to get in the marketplace, they need to get in the marketplace because we don't have this crystal ball to know what the economy is going to look like next year. And if they're sitting on the fence going, oh, but what if it it goes higher or drops or whatever, then that is very, very possible. Get with their lender, figure out what's going to be best for them. Determine if this is a 3-year house, 7-year house, or this is the house their kids are going off to college in. They just need to find out the timing their own and then get the mortgage that's going to match them. But don't let this slow them down. On the selling side, hey, they just missed the ride.
Yeah.
But guess what? There are still people going to be in our marketplace. If you need to sell that house, you need to get it ready and get it prepared and get it on the market. We have seasons. You may not get the top dollar that you were looking for in the fall and winter market. If you want to stretch it out till spring, then go for it. But if you really are trying to move up and you want to get a better house, find that buyer right now so you can get in this marketplace right now and get it sold.
So it's just a matter of work when you're working with your clients up front. It's a matter of setting expectations.
Absolutely.
If you're buying, this is what you should expect.
Yes.
And these are the steps you need to go through. If somebody's selling, based on today's market, these are the steps you need to do, and these are what your expectations ought to be.
Yes.
So if we're visiting with Chuck Poteet with PRG Realtors, so if there's a realtor out there that says, I like this idea of somebody helping me succeed and focusing on my business. So if they would like to talk to you about joining your firm, or if we have a listener out there that's buying or selling a home that would like your assistance, how can they get a hold of you?
Okay. PRGRealtors.com, or PRGTexas.com. Either one. Cell number 713-304-5420. I'll take your call. I will answer it.
Can you give us a phone number one more time?
713-304-5420. And, I know that, for the most part, a lot of people say realtors don't return calls. That's in one of my classes. Realtors, please return your call.
Fantastic. We've been visiting with Chuck Poteet with PRG Realtors. Thank you, Chuck. We appreciate you being with us.
Thanks, Stewart Title.